Okay, we are on. So Mario, Abe Kaplan, how did he join us? Did he learn from Rabbi Streit?
Yes. He sent me an email. I sent him the information again.
Okay, great.
He wanted to know what we learned today, and I put him now in the list.
Okay, good. And you might get more people because otherwise he wanted some kind of link so people can click on. But it works the same way. As long as he gives them the username and password. Does he have to send you the person's email to let them in?
He said Abe Kaplan sent me an email himself.
Oh.
And I answered back what we were learning tonight. And now he gave me his phone number, so I put him on the Zurba WhatsApp list.
Okay, great. Okay, so we're on 67, Samech Zion. And we said there's a Kal Vachomer. If we're trying to find out, how do we know that Tumah is Doiche, the Korban Pesach, and the Oilas HaTami? So we said a Kal Vachomer in Tmei Meisim Mishtalchim, if people have been contaminated with Tumas Meis are sent out of the Machaneh, well, a Zav and a Mitzorah, which are worse, they're more Chomer, because Rashi says it's Tumah that comes out of their body. So certainly, why would the Torah have to say that they are sent? We would learn it out from a Kal Vachomer. Rather, we learn a new halacha. There is a time where a Zav and a Mitzorah will be sent out of the Machaneh, but a Tamei Meis will not. 51% of Klal Yisrael are Tamei. You still kick out the Zav and the Mitzorahim, but the Tumas Meis can eat. That means when we say Tumah Hutra B'tzibur, that in the Pesach, people who were Tamei could partake. It's not every Tumah. It's only Tumas Meis that was Doicha Pesach, but the other Tumas were not. Amar Abaye Yachi. Now, if this is the way you're learning, Leimanami, you could have said the same thing. Yomer Zav Utmei Meisim. Let the Torah write Zav and Tamei Meis. V'ayomar Mitzorah. That a Zav and a Tamei Meis has to be sent out of the Machaneh, and the Torah could have been silent about Mitzorah. V'ani Yomer Zav Mishtaleach. If a Zav is sent out, Mitzorah lo kol shekain. Mitzorah is worse than a Zav, as the Gemara will teach us. So if a Zav goes out, then certainly Mitzorah should go out. So Abaya says that there's a time when the Mitzoraim are sent out, but a Zav and a Tamei Meis are not sent out. Pesach haba b'tumah. But v'chitei machanami, does that work? Vatnan Pesach haba b'tumah lo yochlu mimenu zavim zavis nidus v'yoldos. That it's not correct that a Pesach that 51% of Klal Yisrael are Tamei and the Korban Pesach is going to be brought in a state of Tumah, a Zav and a Nida and a Yoledes cannot eat from it. Now, im ochlu pturim, they don't get kares like you normally do when you're Tamei and you eat kodshim, but they're not allowed l'chatchila to eat. So El Amar Abaye, so a Zav cannot, you can't learn the way you're learning, that a Zav is like a Tamei Meis. El Amar Abaye lo mikra kamo. We go back to the original pasuk. Ish ki yiyeh tamei lenefesh adam. That's what the pasuk we said before. Now, so in kain nichtov rachmana ish ki yiyeh tamei. Why did I need lenefesh? Chitei mahal lenefesh lachid asa that hatmei meis who did nitchel Pesach Sheni, that only somebody who was contaminated with tumas meis gets to do Pesach Sheni. Aval shar tmei and lo. But let's say you're a zav or a mitzora. Let's say you have some other tumah. You're yoledes. You don't get to eat the Pesach Sheni vatanya. Yachol lo yoisim Pesach Sheni el tmei meisim. Since the Torah only talked about tumas meis or going to China, right? Maybe zav and mitzora bali nidus minayin. How do I know that any person who's tamei, like a zav and a mitzora, and a boil nida, Talmud Lomer, ish, any person, mikol mako. So then la nefesh to kazar achman lamali. So elachi kamer. This I have to learn. Ish nitchel Pesach Sheni. Only individuals are pushed off to Pesach Sheni, but the ain't tzibur nitchel Pesach Sheni. The tzibur as a whole, if the whole tzibur became tamei, they're not pushed off. However, we should know the chiyavdi tzibur betuma, that's betmei meis. That's only if the tuma of the tzibur was meis tuma. But we would not do a tuma hutra b'tzibur, the whole tzibur, if they were tamei through another type of tuma. On Rav Chisda. Mitzora shenichnas lifnim mechitzas so potter. And mitzora is supposed to be out of all three machamas. Now, if he comes inside one of the place where he's not supposed to be, he's potter from Malchus. Shenema. Badad yeshev, the mitzora should sit alone. Michutz lamachaneh moshavo. His place of dwelling is outside the machane. Badad yeshev, levado yeshev, has to sit alone. However, michutz lamachaneh moshavo, that is where he has to live. So akasav nitko la'aseh. It basically, there's an aseh connected to that. And we know a lav shenitik la'aseh is potter from Malchus. So that's what Rav Chisda wants to say. Eitzvei, I'll ask you a kasha. Mitzora shenichnas lifnim mechitzaso, a mitzora that walks in to the machna where he's not supposed to be, bar boy. He gets Malchus, which is clearly against what Rav Chisda just taught us. Now the Brisa continues, Zavin v'Zavin shenichnas lifnim mechitzaso. I'm also bar boy. A zav and a zav also has to be kicked out of the machane. If they come in, they also get Malchus. However, Tomei Meis mutter likanis l'machne levia. A Tomei Meis can go even, you can't go into machne shchina, which is the Azor, but into the Harabayis, which is machne levia, they can go. The lot Tomei Meis pilvado amru, el afilu meis atzmo. Even the corpse itself could go to machne levia. How do we know that? Shenemar, Vayikach Moshe Tatzmot Yosef Imo. Right? Moshe was the one who found the bones of Yosef. In Imo means b'mechitzaso. So we asked Akash and Rav Chisda, how can Rav Chisda say the Mitzora is potter from Malchus? Here's a Bryce that says he gets Chayv Malchus. More answers. Tanoi. So Machlokes Tanoi. The Tanya, Bodad Yeshev, Levado Yeshev, Shalo Yutmei Machem Yoshvin. You shouldn't be sitting with the other tumas. Yachol Yuzavit Bemeis Mishtachel Machna Achas. Maybe the Zav and the Tummy Mace goes to the same place. Talmud Loimar, Velo Yitamuas Machanehem, meaning Litain Machna Zel Machna Zed. Each one gets its own Machna. Rab Shimon Omer and Tzarech. You don't need all of this. Because Harei Oimer Vayishalchu min hamachane, Kol Tsarua, V'Kol Zav, V'Kol Tamei Lanefesh. Yoimer Tmei Meis, Val Yoimer Tmei Zav. Maybe the Torah could mention Tmei Meis and not mention Tmei Zav. Ani Oimer Tmei Meis Mishtalchin Zav Lo Kol Shekeh. If a tumas meis goes out, a zav, which we said is tumah that emanates from the person's body, certainly should be chased out. Lama nemar zav, litin lo machna shniya. He has to be kicked out of the second machna. The yomer zav ayomer mitzora. The Torah could have been silent about a mitzora. Vani yomer zavim mishtachim mitzora lo kol shekeh. So kavachomer, certainly we should still mitzora. Lama nemar mitzora. Lite lo machne shlishis. He gets into his own machne, outside of the Zav's place. And then kishu oimer bodod yeshev, hakosuv nitku lasei. He should sit alone, so it's nasei. And therefore the lab is a nitik lasei, and therefore there's no malchus. There's machlokes Rab Shimon and Rab Yehuda, and that Rav Chizda is going like Rab Shimon, and Abaye brought a raya like Rab Yehuda. Now, that which we took as a given, that a zav is more stringent than a tamei meis, my chorma de zav mitamei meis. Why is a zav? The shekain tumah yotzo alav migufo. Tumah space is something external. You touch a tamei meis, or you go into a room with a tamei meis. It's external to you. While a zav, a zivus, emanates from your body. Or says other rabba. Tamei meis chomer shekain tona zot shlishu shvi. Maybe tumas meis is worse because you need paraduma, ashes dissolved in water sprinkled on you on the third and seventh day. You don't need that by a zav. Amar kra tamei, the chol tamei. That the chol tamei l'rabois tmei sheretz. It also includes if a sheretz touches a person. Now there you're only tamei for one day, but there still has to be shlichus. He has to be sent out of the machana like a tamei meis. Now, tumas meis, in some ways, is similar to sheretz, and therefore, and zav is clearly more chomer than sheretz. So therefore, zav is more chomer than tamei meis. Right? The zav chomer mitamei sheretz. Why? My chomer kedam moron. Well, we would think the sheretz is also something external, and zivus is something that comes from your body. However, the Gemara says, "Other rabba sheretz chomer shkem tame b'oines." So, initially, our understanding is that you cannot become a zav if, for example, honest, you were sick, and then you had a seminal mission because of an oines, or somebody frightened you. Now, sheretz doesn't make a difference if a sheretz fell on you derech oines or not derech oines, you still become tamei. So in that respect, sheretz is more chomer. Amri ki agavna zav nami tmui metame be'oines k'Ravuna. Ravuna says, see, a zav, to become a zav, a male has to see a minimum of 2 seminal emissions. The 2 seminal emissions makes him tamei, where he has to count 7 clean days, but he doesn't bring korbanos. In order to bring korbanos, he has to see 3 emissions. Now, Rav Huna is going to teach us that the first emission of the zav can also be derech oines. The Rav Huna riyah rishonos zav metame b'oines. So again, that proves that the tamei zivus is more chomer than sheretz, and therefore that's how we learn that zivus is more chomer than tamei meis. So my chomer de mitzor mizav. The other thing we took as a given that saras was worse than zivus. Now why? Shekain ton prio frima. It says you got to grow your hair long, and you have to tear your clothing. And also betashmi shamita. You're not allowed to have relations. And all of these things are more chomer than a zav. Adarabba says the Gemara, zav chomer shekei metame mishkav u'moishav. A zav, if he sits on 10 mattresses stacked one on top of another, even the ones that he's not directly sitting on becomes tamei. Or if he's sitting on a sofa and there's a kli on the other side of the sofa, and he doesn't touch it, but he sits down on the sofa, which is the kli is on the sofa, it conveys tumah to that kli. That's the special chumrah of zivus of metame mishkav u'moishav, and the mitzvah doesn't have that. Number 2, metame kli cheres behesed. just by moving a kli cheres, it's metameyit. So in those aspects, a zav is more chomer than mitzvah. Amar cross zav v'chol zav l'rabois balkeri. That's to include a balkeri. Balkeri is just someone who sees a seven-lead mission. One, he's also got to be sent out of the machaneh. And mitzvah is certainly more chomer than balkeri. Umay chomer kedamrina. That a mitzvah has to be mafrim and he has to grow his hair long. Also, mita. So the Gemara says, "Adirab about keri chomer, sheken mitame b'mashuhu." That any speck of keri, you don't need a shear, but by mitzvah you need a shear. So maybe that makes a balkeri worse. The Gemara says, "No, you'd need a shear." Savala krab nosim. The title of Nasar Zav Tzarek Pia Amma. There is a requirement that there has to be enough fluid to plug up the meatus of the urethra, right? The opening that the urine comes out of, that's the Pia Amma. Now the Chacham didn't agree, but he holds like Rab Nosson that there has to be a shear. The iskish le balkeri lecha lezav, so that there is a shear, and so therefore mitzvah is chomer balkeri. Then the chol sarua lamali. What does the chol sarua come to teach? So it's stylistic, says the Gemara. I did the chsiv kol zav, chsiv nami kol sarua. Now, whatever you want to say, Rabbi Yehuda Shapir Kamer, Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon's proves that your potter from Malchus, because of Badad Yeshev, Hakatuv Nitkola Asay. So how does Rabbi Yehuda respond? So he uses the pasuk for something else. Let's say it's a year where 51% of Klal Yisrael is tummy, and the Korban Pesach is being bought in a state of tumah, and Zavim and Tzoraim, because it's so crowded, are pushed into the Azor. Still, Yachol Yuchayavin, maybe they'd be chayiv. Talmud Loim v'Yishalchum Namachne Kol Tzur v'Kol Zav v'Chol Tamei LaNafesh. V'Shashet Meimesim Mishtalchin. When the Tamei Meisim are sent out of the Azor, Zarim Mitzvah Mishtalchin. Ein Tamei Meisim Mishtalchin, Ein Zarim Mitzvah Mishtalchin. So there's a special dispensation. Since the Tamei Meisim are allowed to come into the Zara, there's no chiyuv if the Zav and the Mitzvah are pushed in there. Because normally there would be a chiyuv even if they were pushed. But at that time, a regular Tamei Meis would also be forced to leave the Azor. Okay. Amar Mar, Zav, L'chol Zav, L'Rabbi's Balkeri. That came to include even a Balkeri. Messiah Rav Yochanan. The Amar Rav Yochanan, Mechilos Lo Niskadshu. That underneath the Azara, in the tunnels, they did not miskadish it on purpose. Balkeri mishtaleh chutz l'shtei machnos, and a balkeri is sent out of two machnos, like the zav. So meisvei, Rashi says, "Hani tarti mili shminu yadari marmi yadari aminu bechilus umaros l'tachas azara lo niskach b'dushas azara." You have to send them out. Now, Balkari kamaga sheretz. A Balkari is like somebody who touches sheretz. My lav l'machanoisan. What do we mean like it? Means you got to send them out to the same machaneh. That wherever you send the tamei sheretz, you send the Balkari. So the sheretz only has to leave one machaneh, which is the Azara, but you can go on to machaneh leviyah. Why does the Balkari is chased out of two machnos? So here it seems to imply he's only chased out of one machne. The Gemara says, no. How is a balkari similar to a sheretz? L'tumasam. That there's no tumas sheva, there's no 7-day tumah like a zav or like a tummy mace. Just like a sheretz tumah only makes you tummy for 1 day, so a balkari only makes you tummy for 1 day. Frag digumasam l'tumasam. High tumas eretzibe. They're both exact the same. That they're the tamei ad ha'erev. So I don't need a pasuk, or I don't need a drasha to tell me that they're the same. Must be that they're similar to their machnois, and therefore, why did Rabbi Yochanan say they're chased out of 2 machnois? Or it says no loylam the tumasam. No, we are talking about their tumah. So what's the chiddush? It already says tumas erev. Hakamashman balkari kamaga sheretz. Ma maga sheretz matame ba'oines. Balkari matame ba'oines. If a sheretz falls on you by accident, doesn't make a difference. There's no oines or shoigeg or mezid. If you touch a sheretz, you become tummy. Similarly, if you become a balkari machmais oines, Rashi says you ate too much, you drank too much, you had a fever. That's oines. You would still become tummy. Okay, very good. Tomorrow, 8:00.
Shkoyach, shkoyach.
Good.